Okay, so now that I'm officially recording this lecture, let's start. Okay, again, our topic for today is going to be grammar. Okay, why? Because based on the recent test takers, one of the most problematic areas is the grammar area. The reason why a lot of test takers would get a lot of point deductions is because of grammar lapses. That's why, if you notice, we've been incorporating a lot of grammar lectures these past few weeks. All right? So, in your speaking test and in your writing test, you will be evaluated according to your grammar, according to the performance that you give with your sentence structure. Okay? It's 25% of your speaking score and 25% of your writing score. Okay? That's why grammar is very important. But today we're going to talk about modifiers. Okay, anyone in the room who is familiar with the word modifier? Anyone who is familiar with the word modifier? Okay, I'm encouraging Zoom participants to also input your answers. What is a modifier? A modifier is a word that changes the meaning of a sentence or a noun, okay? When we say modifiers, we're talking about adjectives, adverbs, and verbals. So those are the three things that we will hopefully be able to cover for the whole session today, okay? So it's a part of speech that is very important in order for you to sound more precise. Okay, when we say modifiers, they don't entirely change the meaning of a noun. They just add more meaning to it. Okay, they change the theme. Okay, by adding a description. Let's say your noun is coffee. Since I have coffee here, kape tayo guys. I'm drinking black coffee. The modifier that I used for the noun coffee is black. It means it added meaning to what coffee I'm drinking right now. Uy, naka-black coffee si ma'am. Talaga ba? Wow. Okay. So, very adulting na tayo talaga. Because before, you really like to order lattes, yung may mga milk. But now we have, what if I say bitter? Bitter coffee. That's also a modifier which describes my coffee. Ang dali naman pala ng lesson today, ma'am. Yun lang yun. Adjective. So elementary. I know. But then, the thing is, IELTS is IELTS. It's not just going to be that. We're going to dig deeper into the different kinds of adjectives, the function in each sentence, and the different combinations that you could use. Also, we're going to talk about adverbs and verbals. All right? Hopefully, ma-cover natin even though we have limited time. All right. With the use of adjectives, we add description to a noun or we make it sound more precise. So for example, as you can see, there are different books on that shelf, right? And I ask you to bring me one of the books. Definitely, if I ask you, hey, get me the book. Malalaman mo ba kung anong book yung tinutukoy ko kung I don't add any adjectives? So definitely, if I tell you, please bring me the yellow book. So syempre, narrow down ngayon yung choices mo. Kasi, iilan lang naman yung yellow books sa shelf. I think there are 2, right? Bring me the yellow book with the red label. Ito. Red square label. Now, you can easily bring me the book because I already gave you a description of which book I am referring to. So, hindi mo para dalhin sa akin yung green book, ah. So, yeah. So, that's the function of adjectives. It makes the meaning more precise. Pag sinabi natin precise, exact. Okay? Okay. Adjectives qualifies the meaning of a noun or pronoun by providing information about its appearance, location, and so on. All right. Appearance and location. So, as mentioned earlier, the book that I want you to get me is the yellow one with the red label, located on the right side of the shelf. Tama ba, right side? Or upper right side. Yan. So when we add those descriptions, we make it more precise. It is a word used to describe a noun or pronoun or to give it specific meaning. So, hindi lang noun ang pwedeng i-describe ng adjectives. And ang pwede din nilang i-describe ay ang pronouns. Last week, we talked about pronouns, the different kind of pronouns. So today we're gonna also have a recap about that. Okay. So if you want to distinguish which is the adjective in a sentence, you have to ask yourself the questions: with what kind, which one, how many, and how much. How many is for countable nouns? How much is for non-count nouns, right? Count nouns, non-count nouns. We discussed that last Saturday, but if you were not here and you were not able to watch the Zoom session, we will discuss non-count and count nouns again today, all right? Okay, let's look at some examples. On this table, we can see the questions: what kind, which one, how many, and how much. Is it better now? Yes. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, move forward kasi maliit yung ano eh. Okay. There. So, as you can see, what kind sa Tagalog, anong klase? Alright? I am pertaining to the green sweater. Tall woman. Sweet cake and pure joy. Alright? Describe your family. Describe your hometown. What kind of hometown do you have? Alright? So there, you can use adjectives. You can definitely use adjectives, right? Now, when we answer the question, which one? Ito yung cue. Yung word na which is the cue that you're going to be using pronouns. Okay? This, that, those, these. Those are pronouns that act as adjectives. Ang gulo ba? Kala ba pronoun? Bakit naging adjective? Because these pronouns can actually function as adjectives as well. Alright? Bakit? Specify din sila ng meaning. When I say this book and that book, it simply means I'm talking about location. Alright? So, let me get a book from here. So, if the book is with, nasa akin yung book, or it's somewhere near me, the adjective pronoun that you're going to use is this. Okay? This. When we're talking about singular noun, this book. But if I have more, ano ba yan? Ang hirap naman mag-example. Okay, these books. But when I use this and these, they're pertaining to the proximity. Right? Ibig sabihin, malapit siya sa akin. Alright. But if I am pertaining to the books there on the shelf, it's distant. That's why we use that if we're pertaining to a singular noun. And those, these. Okay, that and these, okay? Okay, so this book is when we talk about singular and pag malapit, all right? And then these is the opposite because we're talking about plural. Now, if we're talking about distant items or things, we use that for singular and those for plural, okay? Now, another question that we ask, how many? Okay, again, the word many, when we're talking about count nouns, like oceans, lobsters, farmers, principals. You can definitely count those things. And of course, we only ask the question how much if we're pertaining to non-count nouns, rainfall, time. Okay? There. Okay. So now, we have location of adjectives. Pag sinabi natin location, saan sila nakapwesto sa sentence? Kung dapat ba sa harap ng noun or after the noun, we're gonna figure out those things, okay? So, when an adjective is located before a noun, this is an example. He was a competent official. So, sabi nga before a noun, okay? Kasi hindi pantay. All right. Before. So let's identify which is the noun in this sentence. I mean, there are a lot of nouns, but we will identify which noun has an adjective, okay? Because this word he, it's a noun, but it's the subject. So we have here the word official. What's the adjective that describes the official? Okay, competent. So this is an example that the adjective is located before the noun. Example number 2. I would not want a cheap shirt as a present. We know this is the subject, it's a noun. Shirt is a noun, present is a noun. But the word cheap is the adjective which describes which noun? Shirt. Okay? All right. Do you have your notebooks there? Please get a notebook and a pen. And to all Zoom participants, please input or encode your answers here sa Zoom. I want everyone to make 2 sentences using this format. The adjective is located before a noun. Kahit simple sentences lang, okay lang yan. Basta naka-pwesto yung adjective before the noun. Ang bilis lang, guys. Okay lang yan. Kahit very simple sentences lang. Okay, Zoom participants. May direct message nyo na lang kung nahihiya kayong i-expose yung answers nyo. Send me a direct message here for your answers. Kapag hindi kayo nag-send ng answers nyo, tatawagin ko kayo mamaya sa recitation. Marunong ba kayo mag-direct message sa Zoom? I-click nyo lang yung, di ba, sa chat thread. You're gonna find on the lower part of the chat thread yung word na to. Tapos may option doon na palitan mo yung recipient. Pwedeng everyone or direct message. What's my touchpad now? I-direct message niyo siya sa akin, Shannon Tino. She wore a beautiful red shirt. Very generous ang example ni Karen. May beautiful na may red pa. Nice. That's correct, by the way. Okay, let me check your example. Do you know the time out of the word? In NBA. Ano ba? Best player. Okay, best. Example niya. Okay. Can I check? Wow, okay. Don't forget your punctuations. Yung mga punctuations yun, dapat pinapractice nyo rin kahit kunwarian lang to, ha? Okay, so sa lahat na gumamit ng adjective na beautiful, sorry, disqualified kayo. Gumamit siya ng beautiful. Ay, hindi. I mean, tatlo yung example sa may beautiful. Grabe! Walang nagme-message ng example sentence nila. Guys, nandito pa lang tayo sa basics, ha? Kapag hindi nyo pinractice yung basic, lagot kayo mamaya sa complex samples pa. So, mamaya sa recitation, sure na sure matatawag natin si Kiara, si Roselfida, Kath, si Jolas. Yan yung mga matatawag mamaya kasi hindi nag-send ng mga sample sentences. Okay, 0 participants on Zoom. Nagsiyalis. I'm just kidding. Okay. But the reason why I am encouraging you to make sentences is for you to keep up with the lesson today, okay? Okay, so next we have sense verbs. Okay. The adjective is located after a sense verb. But first of all, what is a sense verb? Those are verbs that talk about our senses. What are the 5 senses? Sense of sight. Napaka-elementary talaga ng lesson today. Sense of sight, smell, feeling, touch, taste, and hearing, right? So, definitely, sense verbs are seems, appears, tastes, feels. Okay? So this time, the location of the adjective is after a sense verb. Okay? As given in the example, the kitten seems frisky and playful. Okay? The sense verb is seems, and the adjectives that were used are frisky and playful. All right? Second example, the room appears empty and quiet. So, the sense verb is appears. How? How does it appear? Empty and quiet. But we're talking about the room. Okay? The words empty and quiet are adjectives for the room. But they are located after the sense verb. Baka malito kayo, sabihin nyo, parang adverb yun na. No. It doesn't function as an adverb because it still modifies the noun. Okay? Na magiging adverb lang ang isang word if it modifies the verb. But here, as you can see, the noun is kitten and room. The kitten seems frisky and playful. Nilagay lang yung seems kasi nga verb. Pero if you're going to ask, what kind of kitten? Frisky and playful kitten. Right? Does it make sense? Parang kasi mga nakukulot yung mga kilay, yung mga noon nyo. Dito kayo. Okay, so the room. What kind of room is it? It's empty and quiet. It still answers the question, what kind of room? That's why empty and quiet are the two adjectives. Sorry guys, I'm not gonna answer it. Teka lang. Hindi na. Okay. All right. Frisky, playful, empty, and quiet. All right? Please write down one. One na lang para hindi masyadong time consuming. One sentence example using this technique. Useful tong pinapagawa ko sa inyong right after one, you have an application right away para iwas confusion. Okay. Let me help you a little bit. Other sense verbs are looks, feels, tastes, smells, sounds. Okay? May masipag magbigay ng example dito sa Zoom. The rose smells fragrant. Okay, that's good. The dog running around and jumps so high. Okay, this is, I can't find the sense verb here. Again, sense verbs talk about our verbs that pertain to our five senses. Okay? All right, let me check. Parang advertisement lang yan ah. Anong product yun namin? Show mo sa akin. Okay. Victor is feeling sluggish. Okay. Bakit ka naman ganyan, Victor? Okay, that's a good one. All right. Okay, so let's move on. The other rule is you can find the adjective after the noun. All right? So, kung dito before the noun, dito naman after the noun. Okay? The building. This is the noun, the building. Old and fragile was demolished. This is called an adjective phrase. It's a very complicated structure, okay? Because you have to be mindful of your commas, your punctuation. Pag nagkaroon ka ng mali sa commas, definitely it's a grammar liability because you miss out on punctuation marks. The building, old and fragile, was demolished. I considered the teacher tactful. The words old and fragile modify the building, and tactful modifies teacher. Okay? But do we encourage you to use this type of example? No, because it's complicated. All right? Pwede mo namang sabihin, the old and fragile building was demolished. If you feel like you're not confident to use this technique, refrain from using it because it might lead to more confusion. Okay? You're going to risk more deductions here. Okay? Okay, but let's try it. Let's try making a sentence using this format. The adjective is after the noun. Sige, magsulat kayo. Or do you want me to give more examples? Meron ba ditong text? Ba't hindi ako makapag-text dito? Is it confusing? Our neighbor, comma, tall and handsome. Tall and handsome. Our neighbor, tall and handsome, was the killer. O, di ba? Guwapo, pero siya pala yung killer. Another example sentence. I saw the kitten messy. I saw the kitten messy. Pwede rin namang, I saw the messy kitten. Alright? The lady, threatened and scared, jumped off the bridge. Okay. The woman, comma, threatened and scared, jumped off, comma, jumped off the bridge. Parang wala nang nagtatangkang magbigay ng sentence samples dito ah. Have you written something? Okay. Take your time. Pero okay, nakatingin lang. I found the right written. Wow. Good. Hindi yung sample na, di ba? I consider I attribute or I consider I attribute exciting. Okay. So we kind of discuss over. I just over this over. Probably kailangan mag-waiver. Thanks. Verb. In this strong word. Oh, I found this house colorful. Parang yun yung opinion mo sa house na, oh, colorful, right? Okay, found is a better word. Hey! Okay, next is the fourth one, which is after a linking verb. Linking verbs in this sentences are, is, okay? Has, have. Those are the linking verbs. So the adjectives are located after linking verbs. Okay, so the noun is shoppers. Are is the linking verb. So eager is the adjective that describes shoppers. The shoppers are eager for bargains. This is an easy example, right? The participants are waiting for the results. Waiting is a word that describes the noun participants. And they are located after. Okay, you might be confused because these words such as waiting, it's also like a verb, right? Are waiting. But i-discuss natin yan later when we talk about verbals because verbals are verbs that function as adjectives. It's not complicated, guys. But yes, try one more sentence using this example after a linking verb. Okay? Okay, go. Pwede rin namang, she is beautiful. The young boy is handsome. The boy is handsome. So, ganun lang ka-basic yung after a linking verb. The girls are attractive. Girls, noun, is, are, is the linking verb. Attractive is the adjective. This is the simplest example that you can write. Don't miss out the chance. Okay, what more can I give? My brother and sister were lonely. What's the word that describes the brother and sister? Lonely. The linking verb is were. Pag naman singular noun, my sister was lonely. All right? Okay. Have you written an example sentence? Sino confident to read it aloud? Kapagod na lang mag-isa-isa. Okay, fine. I'll just... What? So I mean. Okay. Ang ganda-ganda ng example sa biglang may nag-cute. Pero tama din naman yun. Sabi mo, simple ha. Tapos ngayon. Okay. Okay lang, di naman masyadong nag-expect dun sa last rule. Kasi sabi ko, simplihan nyo lang. Alright, so sa Zoom, ay, ang dami nang nag-chat. Okay, basahin natin yung mga examples nila. I think that kid is a genius. Is genius. I think that kid is genius. Kid. Genius describes the kid, okay. She carried a tiny box. Not exactly, because the noun is box and the adjective, the modifier is tiny. So, ito yung she carried a tiny box. Dito to applicable sa before a noun, right? Kasi nga, box yung pinaka dinidescribe ng tiny. The car is clean and shiny. Okay, tama. The music was loud. My husband is angry. Ah, talaga? What did you do? Nakipagmaritesan. My mom is clever. Okay? She is. Tama sana yung talented kung wala ng artist. Kasi pag sinabi mo she is a talented artist, yung word na talented, ang imo-modify na niya ngayon yung noun na artist. So magiging before a noun yung rule na to. So if you put it like this, she is talented. Yon, tama na yon. The adjective is located after a linking verb. Okay, gets nyo? Okay. So, good job, guys. Karamihan naman sa inyo nagigets nyo na yung concept. Maraming nalito sa after a sense verb. I understand that. Pero, kailangan nyo lang munang i-identify ano nga ba yung mga sense verbs. But, basta it has something to do with the 5 senses. Okay? Verbs that talk about your senses. Okay, so those are the different locations of adjectives. Now let's talk about our next topic. Still, we're going to talk about adjectives, but now we're going to talk about the forms. We're done with the locations. Now we're going to talk about the forms. The first form is the simplest one. It's the normal form. Okay? Beautiful, pretty, amazing, efficient, intelligent, laconic, sagacious. Okay? And usually, normal adjectives are located before the noun. The red hoodie. Red hoodie. Black shirt. White handbag. Okay? Those are normal nouns. There's no need for further clarification because it's just basic, okay? We already know this. We're familiar. Now let's talk about proper nouns that function as adjectives. Now this is when it gets a little complicated, all right? What does it mean when we say that proper nouns can actually function as adjectives? Let's take a look at the example here. Duke, Duke, Ellington was an African American composer. Okay? We have African and American. Though these two adjectives are actually proper nouns. Okay? Kaya nga nakakapitalize sila, oh. African American. But it modifies the word composer. Okay? Usually, proper nouns would add suffixes in order for them. Oh my gosh, what happened? Did you guys think that the lecture would start at 10 a.m. today? All right, hello. You are new faces. Kaka-enroll nyo lang this week? Like Tuesday? 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago. All right. So today our topic is adjectives. Okay. We're already talking about the different forms of adjectives, and we're on number 2. As I was saying, pronouns that act as adjectives should be followed by suffixes, or you should add suffixes to make them adjectives. Okay. Another example is the term Victorian era refers to the years, kulang ng isang number, 1835 to 1901. All right? So, what kind of era did it refer to? Victorian. Although it's a proper noun, it functions as an adjective. Is it confusing? Okay. Christian. Like, how are you going to use it in a sentence? Christians. I think the word Christian is it capitalized with a C or not? I think no. I don't think it is a proper noun because it's a generic word. It can refer to a lot of people. But if it becomes specific, Christian community, that becomes a proper noun. Okay? Christians, I'm sorry? Yes. Yeah. Of course, definitely. If it's part of a brand or the name of a school, it definitely will function as a proper noun. Okay? Okay. Now let's talk about nouns used as adjectives. If you could use pronouns as adjectives, surprisingly, you can also use nouns as adjectives. Okay? For example, music critic, city bus, history lesson. Okay? The word music, it's a noun itself. The word city, it's a noun. History, it's a noun, it's a subject, right? But in order to give you a more precise description of each noun, you can add nouns as adjectives as well, because it still answers the question, what kind and which one? All right? What kind of critic is he? He's a music critic. What kind of bus are we waiting for? We're waiting for a city bus. What lesson will she be teaching? A history lesson. Okay? It still answers what kind and which one. Any questions? All right. So the different forms of adjectives is number 1, normal form. Yan yung mga basic adjectives that are located before the noun. Beautiful lady. Okay? Next, we have proper nouns like American singer, Filipino actress, British accent. What kind of accent does she have? British accent. Okay? Pero yung British, pwede din siyang proper noun because when you use the word British itself, you can pertain to the people in UK. British. And then number 3, nouns can be used as adjectives, such as piano lessons, English class. Okay, number 4, possessive nouns can be used as adjectives as well. Pag sinabi natin possessive, it means it talks about ownership. Okay? So you can easily identify possessive nouns when they are with apostrophe S. Okay? The cat's favorite food is tuna. We're pertaining to one cat only. Kasi kung maraming cats yan, the apostrophe will be placed after the S. Right? Pero isa lang naman yung tinutukoy nating cat. So, the cat's favorite food is tuna. Now we have Peter's motorcycle. Whose motorcycle is it? It's Peter's. Peter's motorcycle. It still answers the question, which kind of motorcycle? It's Peter's motorcycle. Okay? Is it clear? Possessive nouns can be used as adjectives. All right. Okay, so number 5, pronouns used as adjectives. Okay. Ito kanina yung mga first few examples that we read earlier. This book, that book, these books, those books. So pronouns can be used as adjectives and they answer the questions, which one, how many, how much. Okay. So we have, medyo hindi lang maganda yung, iba kasi yung format nung sa laptop ni Sir Kevin, tas iba sa akin. Pero lalagyan ko siya ng division, okay? So ayan siya. These are demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative because we use them to demonstrate and we use them to talk about the location. All right? So that, these, this, and those. That is used for singular. That and this for singular, and these, those for plural. All right? Of course, magkaibang use yan. When we use that, we're pertaining to things that are distant. But if we use this, we're pertaining to things that are nearby. This cell phone, that tumbler, or is it a flask? That flask, all right? Now, of course, if it's plural, these cables, or probably these pens. But of course, if we're talking about things that are far away, those books, all right? And then we have what and which when you are going to use them in questions or interrogative, okay? Next, we have the indefinite pronouns, which we discussed last Saturday, all right? When we say indefinite, from the word indefinite, it means there's no specific thing that we are talking about here. So we can pertain to general things. That's why we use indefinite pronouns, okay? Sample of indefinite pronouns is both, neither, each, other, either, several, few, some, okay? All right, now let's do a short activity. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 sentences. Please identify which word is the pronoun adjective in these sentences. So we're only talking about pronouns used as adjectives. So please identify it. I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at it. Okay. Is it a bit difficult? Okay, so the first example, Woody wrecked his car in the crash. Which pronoun functions as an adjective? The answer is his. Okay? It's his car. Next, rollerblading is our idea of fun. Alin dito yung adjective? Our idea. Okay? The Millers cultivated their garden. There. Okay? Your photo turned out well. Your. She went to that concert. That. They took those classes. Those. Which concert did she hear? Which? Interrogative form. What grade did he get? What? Whose party was best? So, yung mga naka-underline, yan yung mga pronouns that function as adjectives. Okay? Again, you can figure out which word is the adjective when you answer the question, which one? What kind? Okay? Woody wrecked his car in the crash. Which car? His car. Rollerblading is our idea of fun. Which idea? Our idea. Okay? So there. I feel like na-confused kayo konti. Alright? It's okay. You will receive a copy of this lecture's handouts. So don't worry. Pwede nyo yan balikan later. Okay? But is it clear? Okay. So sa mga Zoom participants, do you have any questions before we proceed to the next one? Marami bang nakatama dun sa activity? There are more activities coming up, so please participate. Okay. So number 6 is with affixes. Let's refresh your memory what affixes are. Affixes are the prefix or suffix added in each word to change the meaning of the word. Okay? Of course, a prefix is added in front of the word and a suffix is added at the end of the word. Okay? So we have here the adjective careless. The root word is care, and definitely the suffix is less. Sandy is a reliable member of the team. Okay, which word here is the adjective? Okay. That's the correct one. And then we have number 7, participles. It's so confusing. This is going to get a little too confusing because participles, they appear as verbs, but they function as adjectives. All right? And examples are, I picked up the crying baby. In this case, the word crying is not used as a verb. It's actually used as an adjective because it describes the baby. Which baby are we pertaining to? The crying baby. Okay? They were enlightened parents. But if you use the word enlightened like this, I am enlightened by the lesson. I am enlightened by the video. I am enlightened by the discussion. That's when it's used as a verb. But in this case, this participle enlightened is used as an adjective which modifies the word parents. They were enlightened parents. What kind of parents? Enlightened parents. Not confused parents, enlightened parents, okay? Are you enlightened or not? Okay. Hindi ko na kayo pagagawa ng sample sentences. It's okay. But in 5 minutes, I'm going to give you a 5 to 10 minute break time. Okay. So, we're going to compare the use of the word increasing as an adjective and as a verb. The first sentence says, the figures illustrated had an increasing trend. So, the word increasing, is it used as an adjective or as a verb in the first sentence? Ano nagtatangkang sumagot, oh? Oh, baka mali. All right. Okay, tama. Because it modifies the word trend. What kind of trend is it? It's an increasing trend. Now, the figures are increasing. Verb. Kagaya ng sabi ko kanina, I am enlightened. Okay, so this time it's used as a verb. The figures are increasing. Now, how about the word declining and, the word declining used as an adjective and as a verb. First example, the line graph showed a declining pattern. Okay. Adjective because it modifies the word pattern. The sales are declining yearly. Okay, tama. Verb. There was a declining pattern presented. Yes, adjective. Okay, mukhang nagigets naman ng lahat. All right, we're gonna have another activity. Just hang on. Ay, wait lang. Ay, mamaya pa pala yung next activity. Kinabahan kayo bigla sa next. All right, so here we have form number 8. Describing age, size, or length of something. Okay, you have to make sure that when you're using this type of adjective, you have to put a hyphen. One of the most confusing examples is when we talk about time, all right? For example, I'm going to give you a break time after a few minutes. I'm going to give you a 10-minute break time. Most people would write 10 minutes break time, but it's wrong. When the word minutes, even though it's plural, 10 minutes, is used as an adjective, you have to delete the S and combine it with a hyphen. I'm going to give you a 10 hyphen minute without an S break time. A 10-minute break time. Now, how about 5, let's say, do you have a daughter? Do you have a son? Yes, I have a 5-year-old daughter. Or you can say, my daughter is 5 years old. But if you're going to use it as an adjective, delete the S. 5 hyphen year-old daughter. Okay? Like these examples. A century-old egg. The noun is the egg. Century-old is the adjective that describes the egg. Meaning, gano'n nakatagal yung, oh my God, century? 100 years? Kaya bang mag-survive nun? Okay. But probably with this modern technology that we have, it can survive. Si Marcos nga na-preserve, di ba? Pero hindi naman yung decade. Hindi naman yung century. Anyways, let's not be so technical about it. It's just an example. He is a short-legged man. Kung ayaw mo masyadong harsh, you're so short. Sabihin mo na lang, short-legged. Di ba? At least medyo maganda pakinggan. Kesa, he's a dwarf. He's a dwarf. Medyo harsh tayo dun sa he's a dwarf. Minsan talaga hindi ko dapat. Okay. I wanted to have a blue-eyed white dragon when I was a child. So the noun is dragon. What kind of dragon? Blue-eyed white dragon. So in this example, we use two adjectives to describe the dragon. The dragon is white, but it has blue eyes. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about quantity adjectives. A quantifier is a word or phrase which is used before a noun to indicate the amount or quantity, okay? So quantifiers, such as some, many, a lot, a few, these will be highly used on your writing task 1, right? For ACAD students, sorry. ACAD students, for writing task 1, you will be using a lot of quantifiers. Please use them wisely, or else you will have vocabulary and grammar lapses if you misuse them, okay? Quantifiers can be used with both countable and uncountable nouns. For example, there are some books on the desk. He's got only a few dollars. How much money have you got? There is a large quantity of fish in this river. He's got more friends than his sister. Okay, to make it more clear, let's take a look at this table. All right? Count singular are nouns that can be counted, but in singular form. Okay? Book, tree, desk, computer. Count plural, of course, you just have to put an S. And non-count nouns pertain to nouns that are measured or measured, weighed, or abstract nouns, such as your values, your feelings, like love, hate. Those are nouns too. But the thing about them is they are non-countable. They can't be counted, all right? For count singular nouns, you use each, every, any, only, okay? Each of the books were wrapped cleanly, all right? Every day is a new beginning. Every day is a new beginning. Okay, so let's take a look at the example sentences. Yung count plural nouns, only, some, ito lang yung mga pwede niyong gamitin na adjectives, okay? And then non-count, this, and of course this. Okay, let's take a look at the example. Count singular. I practice every day. I'd like 1 donut, please. 1 donut every day. Count plural. Can I have some chips? Some and chips. She has a lot of books and many are autographed. I have fewer pencils than you. Can I have some water? Okay. She has a lot of strength. I have less courage than you. Okay? Do you need more clarification with regards to quantifiers? Basta sundin nyo lang tong table na to, hindi na kayo magkakamali. All you have to do is memorize, okay? All right. Now, let's talk about putting adjectives in order. There are some cases wherein you will be using a lot of adjectives, especially on your task 1 for ACAD students. So you have to organize them. First, you have to use the article or pronoun. That, this, yon, okay? Or the. Then, talk about the size, the age, color, participle, proper adjective, noun used as an adjective, and lastly, the noun. So, your large, old, green, hand-blown French wine bottle. Okay, activity. Number 1. Ano dapat yung pagkakasunod-sunod? Okay. Sports car, British, that small red. Again, ang uunahin natin ay pronoun. So, yung pronoun dito is that. Followed by, try nyo lang sagutan, guys. Okay. Ano? Medyo confusing? Balikan natin tong slide na to. Next is size, age, color. That small red British sports car. Okay. Let's see if your answer is right. That small red British sports car. Okay, number 2. Ito yung article natin, the. And then, color. Followed by noun. The green silk shirt. Okay? Next, we use an article up. The article up. Wait lang, ma'am. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng downfilled? Ibig sabihin ng debutones. Okay? A new downfilled winter jacket. So, you have to put the article first. What kind or the appearance? New. And then, downfilled. And then this, it's a noun. So, lagi yung tatandaan yung noun that functions as an adjective comes before the actual noun that is being modified. Okay? A new downfilled winter jacket. All right. Was it easy or difficult? Okay, all you have to do is memorize this pattern then. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a 5 to 10 minute break. You can stay here if you want to. Okay. So let's continue. All right, so we're going to talk about the comparative and superlative forms, okay? So definitely, when we're going to use the comparative, we're going to compare only two nouns in a sentence. And usually you would add an ER, higher, prettier, simpler. Okay? And of course, superlative, we're talking about the highest degree, prettiest, simplest, or you can use most, the most. Okay? When you are using the comparative degree, you are only comparing two people, two things, two ideas, two places. But definitely, superlative degree is more than two. So the minimum is three, and then more than that. Okay. So you can use more or less kapag yung words hindi siya pwedeng dagdagan ng ER at saka IEST kapag sa superlative. Alright? So, most, least naman pag superlative. For example, less prosperous, more convenient, less convenient. And then we have superlative, most prosperous, most convenient, least convenient. Okay? Now, let me show you some examples. Common problems with the comparative and superlative. When we are talking about irregular, comparative, and superlative, this is the areas that are very confusing. So you have to be careful in using these terms. All right. What's the comparative form of good? Okay. Good, better, and the superlative form is best. How about the word bad? Worse and worst. Little, less, and least. Much, many, some, more and most, far, further, furthest. Okay. So why do we call these irregular, comparative, and superlative forms? Because the words change holistically. You can't just change the spelling. You can't just add ER or IEST. The words change holistically, okay? All right, so here we have modifiers which cannot be logically used in comparative and superlative forms express absolute conditions and do not allow for degree of comparison. Absolute, perfect, unique, entire. All right, the word perfect. She is the most perfect girl. Do you think that is a correct example? She is the most perfect girl. No, because ito na yung absolute degree. So, hindi mo na siya pwedeng dagdagan pa ng iba pang adjectives, ng comparative and superlative. She is more perfect than you. So, hindi pwedeng ganon, okay? So, kapag sinabihan ka ng manliligaw mo or ng boyfriend mo, you are the most perfect girl for me. So, definitely, you have to break up with that person. Kasi, hindi nga niya matama yung grammar niya eh. Yung relasyon pa kaya. Uy, relasyon pa kaya? Hindi, joke lang. So, yun. Unique taste. Most unique, least unique, hindi pwedeng ganon, okay? Okay. Common problems with the comparative and superlative. Example, I am convinced that my poodle is more smarter than your Dalmatian. This is wrong because redundant. As you can see, the word smarter is already in the comparative form. So you don't need to use the word more anymore. Okay? It's either I am convinced that my poodle is more smart, or I am convinced that my poodle is smarter. Only one. Okay. Again, same example. The word bigger is already in its comparative form. The word funniest is already in its superlative form. So that's why you have to delete. The right sentence is Texas is bigger than Oklahoma. And that is the funniest joke I have ever heard. So be careful with using double comparisons because definitely it's going to be a grammatical error. Okay. You should also avoid double negatives. We decided there was no point in pursuing our research further. Yung word na wasn't is already in its negative form. Tapos sinundan mo pa siya ng no point. So that's what you call double negative. Kumbaga sa baboy, double kill. Double kill. Okay, so we decided there was no. So hindi wasn't. Ito. There was no point in pursuing our research further. Okay, is it clear? Okay, finally, we're done talking about adjectives. Ang haba nung lesson about adjectives. We're going to talk about adverbs now. Again, adjectives are words that modify nouns in a sentence, but this time we're going to talk about adverbs. These are words that modify the verb. It means it can change, it can alter the meaning of the verb depending on the words, the adverbs that are going to be added. The most common adverbs have end in ly. Okay? Several passersby stared curiously. The adverb is curiously. It modifies the verb stared. So, if you ask the question how, when, where, to what degree, that's when you identify your adverb. Okay, so how did the passerby stare? They stared in a curious manner or curiously. Okay? Her very expensive dress was ruined. Okay, so in this case, we have the verb was. Very expensive dress, ruined. Okay? Next, we have Elizabeth cooked less deliciously as she did before. I think, guys, you have to exclude this. Mali itong example na to. Sir Kevin, ba't mo yan inad? Okay. Pag may mali si Sir Kevin. But that example is not included because we're talking about adverbs that end in ly. Okay? So this one. Elizabeth cooked less deliciously as she did before her husband died. So, we use two adverbs, less and deliciously. And they modify the word cook by asking the question, how did Elizabeth cook? She cooked less deliciously. Okay? Is it clear? Again, huwag niyo nang pansinin yung sentence na yan, ha? All right. All right, let's take a look at this table. Usually answer the questions when, where, how, to what degree. Okay, when? When will you fly? I will fly now. When did he arrive? He had arrived early. Where? Where did it jump? It jumped aside. Okay. Where is it charging? It was charging forward. How? How did they argue? They argued effectively. How did they speak? How will they speak? They will speak clearly. To what degree? How did he finish? He finished completely. How did he finish the program? He finished completely. How would you have known? I hardly would have known. Okay? Okay. So just like the adjectives, adverbs can appear in different positions depending on the sentence. All right? On the first sentence, the word eventually is in the beginning. Eventually, the train will arrive at the station. So, eventually is modifying how the train will arrive. Okay? The train will eventually arrive at the station. The train will arrive at the station eventually. So that's why sometimes you can also change the position of the word actually, right? Literally. The candidate unexpectedly won by a very narrow margin. How did the candidate win? Unexpectedly. He ate quickly. How did he eat? Quickly. She speaks Russian fluently. Okay? You can delete the adverb fluently and you can just say she speaks Russian. But if you add the word fluently, it means to what degree does she speak Russian? Fluently. Okay? Now, if she doesn't speak fluently, what adverb can you use? Huh? She speaks Russian poorly. Yan, poorly, okay? Ibig sabihin, hindi siya magaling mag-Russian. Okay? Next, try to reply sensibly. Meaning, don't be too harsh. Be sensitive. Try to reply immediately. Now it talks about how fast, okay? Try to reply immediately. See how adverbs can actually change the preciseness of the meaning of words in a sentence. Just like adjectives. It's just that adjectives are for nouns and then adverbs are for verbs. Okay. So these adverbs are adverbs that answer the question to what degree. Okay, let's read the sentences. The train is extremely late. How late is the train? Extremely late. June felt rather weak. The word rather, it's a word that you could use to emphasize, okay, how weak. The solution was quite logical. It was an extremely sour lemon. Okay. Another example. What? Walk slowly. Walk quite slowly. Always wins. Almost always wins. Call often. Call too often. All right? So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung first examples here, they have a subtle tone. Okay? Walk slowly. She walks slowly. When you add the word quite slowly, it emphasizes the fact that the way she walks is just a little slowly. Okay? But if you say she walked really slowly, it's the opposite of quite slowly. Okay? Almost always wins. It simply means that the person would never make it, would never get the gold medal. Always gets the silver medal only. Okay? There were only partially, there were only partially, okay, sorry, dapat they yan. They were only partially convinced. Okay, so meaning they were not fully convinced, only partially. The play ended somewhat abruptly. Please speak more slowly. I know him very well. I am not completely finished. If you delete all these adverbs, nag-iiba yung degree ng sentence. Have you noticed that? The reason why we add these adverbs is to be more precise. To convey to what degree an action is being done. Okay? So these adverbs are called intensifiers. They intensify the degree of the verb. Okay? For example, yung mga words na full degree, ito yan. Completely, totally, absolutely, entirely, quite. Next is large degree. Very, extremely, awfully, terribly. Medium, fairly, quite, rather, really. Small degree, a little, a bit, slightly. And then we have others, so as, to, more, most, less. Okay, let's have some example sentences. Based on these examples, make one sentence that uses an intensifier. Okay? So, yung mga nauna dito, they brought out notes and pens so then they can write sample sentences. You can do so with your phone if you don't have any notebooks or pens. Okay? So, please practice making an example using an adverb with an intensifier. Okay? So try to make one sentence using full degree, large degree, medium, and small, and this one. So it's a total of 5 sentences. Okay? Go ahead. Your answers are valid whether you put the adverb in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the sentence. Okay? Kagaya ng examples na pinakita kanina, Let me give you some more examples. I absolutely love pizza. That roller coaster was extremely scary. She's quite intelligent. I'm a bit tired. I'm too tired. He almost finished the race in first place. The soup was somewhat salty. Okay, are you done? Okay, so medyo marami na kayo ngayon, so I can't check it one by one. But hopefully, somehow na-activate yung brain cells natin sa paggawa ng sentences. Because that's important. After you learn something, you apply it right away. Because that's how you get retention, right? But I can check it if you want. Do you want me to check it? Okay. The sentences seem to be aligning to the lesson today. So have you typed it on a note? Yeah, check ko. Alam, ma-gauge ko kung negative ba yung So I noticed that your sentences were most of your sentences, okay? I mean, kung may makita man ako sa list, siguro one or two sentences ang may error. Why? Because you use the intensifiers to describe adjectives instead of adverbs. Okay? Well, ikaw na perfect mo, Blake. Ikaw yung naka-perfect. Good job. Alright. Pero, hindi ko naman sinasabing mali yung sentences, pero ang in-expect ko lang is to use the intensifiers as modifiers to adverbs, not adjectives. Okay? Kagaya nito, delighted, miss, finished. Okay? All right. Common problems with adverbs and adjectives. Once the test was over, Sharon walked slow out of the classroom. Identify the error. What's the error here and the sentence? The word slow should be slowly. Once the test was over, Sharon walked slowly out of the classroom. Okay? Pag kasi slow lang, hindi siya adverb. It's just an adjective. Okay? Next. We tried real hard to get the muffin mixture perfect. Minsan, madalas ginagamit to ng mga Filipino to make it sound posh. I'll be right back. I'll be real quick. Diba? Pero mali pala yun. Kailangan pala really. Okay? We tried really hard to get the muffin mixture perfect. Okay? So be careful because those are the common areas, the common situations wherein you get confused. Even though he has lived in Toronto for 4 years, he does not have hardly any friends. So, mali yon kasi dalawang negatives. You can't put two negatives in a sentence. Does not is a negative already, and hardly any are also negatives. Okay, so it's either this one or this one. Even though he has lived in Toronto for 4 years, he has hardly any friends there. So, hindi yung he hasn't, he has hardly. Just pick one negative. Even though he has lived in Toronto for 4 years, he does not have many friends there. This is a more easy way to express that sentence. Less confusing. Kasi ito for sure mako-confuse kayo dito sa dalawa na to, right? Pero pag sinabi mo, he does not have many friends, automatically, that's correct. Grammatically correct. Okay. Common mistakes. Bad or badly, good or well. Kailan ba ginagamit yung good? Kailan ba dapat gamitin yung well? When you're ordering steak, I want the good one. The good one. Okay. So, when you're ordering steak, usually they would ask you how you want it to be cooked, right? So, well done. I don't feel bad that I played badly at the football game today. She protested that she was well enough to sing well again. She protested that she was good enough to sing well again. Okay? Another activity, guys. Identify 20 adverbs in this paragraph. There are 20 adverbs in this paragraph. Please identify each of them. Okay, you may start. Don't be frustrated if you don't get all 20 of them because it is quite confusing. Feeling ko maximum of 14 correct answers ang makukuha nyo. Kasi the rest, medyo confusing yung iba. Pero let's see. Baka maka 20 ka, Nick. How many have you found? Wow, 15. 20? 19? Wow. Okay. One more minute and then we're gonna check. Virtual. Does anybody want to have a coaching session after the lecture today? Tomorrow is coaching day with Sir Kevin. He can accommodate up to 15 slots, but you have to be here before 9 so that you can be listed. Kasi, mabilis. Last time, late, no? Ang kahit maaga kayo nakadating, wala nang slots. Or late na kayo nakadating. Yeah. What time did you come here? Maaga or late? Yeah. See? Yes, that's how hectic the schedule is. 8:30 nagsimula na magpalista. Ano, 3. So, medyo mahigpit si Sir Kevin sa 15 slots. Talagang hanggang 12 noon lang siya dito. So, tomorrow, even though hindi kayo makaabot sa coaching session, pwede naman kayong mag-mock test. Alright? Please make the most out of it since free lang naman, part yun ng payment nyo, to be able to use the computer room, the testing center, so that you can also gauge your level in listening, reading, and writing. That was coaching with Sir Kevin. But if you feel like hindi kayo makakapunta tomorrow, I'll be opening slots after lecture today or on Saturday after lecture. Let me know, okay? Okay. Verb of time. While she was still a child. Kasi pag tinanggal natin tong still, it would not precisely mean na child pa siya. Okay? While she was still a child, Pearl came to hindi ko alam i-pronounce yun. Primus came to the US from Trinidad. Later, she attended adverb of time ulit college in New York and apparently planned to be a doctor. Yung mga Lee, for sure, nakuha nyo yan. Never expected to be a dancer, her obvious talent very quickly distinguished her. Soon, she won a scholarship and was studying exclusively. Subsequently, she worked with other masters of modern dance. When she performed professionally, she received rave reviews everywhere for her beautiful dancing. So, yan.
Never.
Where is never?
Never. Never expected to do that.
It modifies expected. Okay? Expected is a verb, never is the adverb. Okay? Yes. All right. So now let's talk about verbals. Again, I'll quickly go through this since we're going to end at 12 noon. Right? So, verbals are words that look like verbs, but they function as adjectives, okay? So, infinitives, participles, and gerunds. First, let's talk about infinitives. Infinitives are verbs associated with the word to, okay? They're used as nouns. The form is to plus base form of the verb. To run, to get, okay? An infinitive is not a verb. You cannot add s, es, ed, or ing to the end. Human hair is almost impossible to destroy. That's an example of an infinitive. So, hindi mo pwedeng dagdagan ng to destroys, to destroyed. Kasi may word na to. Okay? So, that's the most important rule about infinitives. You can't change the form of the verb or the base form of the verb. Okay? This will be expensive to repair. Okay, tingnan natin yung difference ng dalawa na to. This will be expensive to repair. It functions as an infinitive. This one naman, it functions as, the word repair functions as an adjective. Okay? What kind of shop is it? Repair shop. So, magkaiba ang function ng infinitive at saka ng adverbs. Okay? Now, let's look at an example. Never separate to from the verb as it will result in split infinitive. Okay. So, hindi mo pwedeng paghiwalayin yung word na to at saka yung verb. So, the correct is the marketing team voted to run. Okay, to run an anticipatory ad campaign before they launched the new software. Okay. So, for example, if you want to convert the infinitives, you just have to put ing. Pero syempre, aalisin nyo na yung to. Hindi naman pwedeng to running, to going. I will go to the park. I am going to the park. Ayan. Running, going, eating, reading, writing, listening, destroying, dying. If you are going to omit the to, then you can put ing. But if you're going to add the to in front of the verb, don't change the base form of the verb, okay? You can only add ing if you are going to delete to. Okay, now let's talk about participles, verbs that are used as adjectives. So, some of the verbs have ing, ed, d, nt, or en endings. But the confusing thing about participles is that may regular verbs, tas meron ding irregular verbs. That's the confusing part. What am I talking about? For example, yung word na cut. Cut. Ganun siya, di ba? Pero yung eaten, yun yung regular verbs. You can just add suffixes to change the word or change the spelling entirely. Okay? Tim carefully repaired his torn jacket. So, the word torn, it's usually a verb, but it's used as an adjective. What kind of jacket? The torn jacket. His jacket was torn badly. Ito, ginamit siya as a verb. Kasi the jacket was torn. But here, in this sentence, it was used as an adjective. Can you see the difference? Okay. The blazing sun melted the frozen pond. So we have the noun sun and pond. Adjective, blazing sun. Frozen pond. Okay? So the kinds of participles we have present, past, and perfect. The present participle ends in ing. For example, his fascinating responses convinced us. Present participle, fascinating. It is a word that modifies the responses. Okay? Past participle, they end in ed, t, or en. Or meron ding irregular endings. For example, the extended table accommodated more people. What kind of table are we talking about? Extended. So we use the past participle extended, okay? The engrossed secretary didn't hear the phone. So, adjective ulit. The adjective that describes the secretary is engrossed. Perfect participle includes having or having been before a past participle. Having exercised, I rested. Having been asked, he gave his opinion. Okay. Participles and verbs can be very confusing, but they function differently depending on their placement in the sentence. So for example, the word frozen. These beans were frozen last summer. Were frozen functions as what? Verb or adjective? Participle or verb? It's okay, it's okay. So, eto dito, verb siya. Okay? The beans were frozen last summer. So, on the second example, the word frozen acts as a participle which modifies these beans. Frozen beans. Okay? Another example. Present participle to Present participle. A killing frost swept to the valley. What kind of frost? It's a killing frost. Next, we have a frightened doe bounded into the woods. Past participle, nalagyan ng ed sa dulo. It describes the doe. Frightened doe. Okay, let's have more exercises. Okay, her muscles are aching. Is it a verb or a participle? The word aching. Yes, you're right. Next sentence. She rubbed her aching muscles. Participle. So this example can show you exactly the difference between verb and participle. Kung makikita nyo yung participle, it comes before the noun, right? Her muscles are aching. She rubbed her aching muscles. What kind of muscles does she have? Aching. Masakit yung muscles niya. It describes the muscles. But here, naging action word siya. Her muscles are aching. Ibig sabihin, masakit, sumasakit. Okay? So, do you understand? One more example. The employees respected their boss. Respected. Is it a verb or a participle? Subject. Verb. Oh. The verb. Meaning verb. It functions as a verb, right? The employees respected their boss. The respected boss had the employees' support. So here, makikita nyo yung participle. Again, it's before the noun. Okay? So that's it for today's lesson. Add modifiers. I know it's a little bit confusing, but don't worry. You will be getting copies of the PDF file. All right. And I will attach with today's lecture a copy of an exercise that you could do at home so that you can practice. Okay? So does anybody have any questions before we end?